The Rookie of the Year race just became a lot more interesting. I'll tell you how many contenders have a chance to catch up to Connor Bedard. Plus, rating the Flyers-Ducks surprising deal before Mr. Game 7, Justin Williams, joins me and offers his thoughts. He's an analyst now. So, let's do what analysts do. Break it down on the Chirp Podcast with Darren Millard.
Boys, I'm Mike today. Just let everyone know, don't say anything stupid.
Heads up! Oh, how'd that feel, old man?
What are you gonna do?
Coops, it is!
Hit him, light him up. Yeah, nice hit. That's solid.
Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. Going to be a fun one today. A few things to get to right off the bat, and then we'll welcome in Justin Williams. Bob, I'm going to do this first. I want to talk about the situation for the Calder, as well as the big swap between the Philadelphia Flyers and the Anaheim Ducks. You can tell, this is what we're going to do. We tell Justin, flip the light on. He's in the green room right now. Send him down. By the time he gets here, I should be ready to get his opinion on what happened between the Flyers and the Anaheim Ducks, because a player calling a shot who hasn't played a game in the National Hockey League. I'll give you my thoughts. I'm really curious how Justin feels about this. First up out of the gate, Rookie of the Year race. Connor Bedard out until late February. Yeah, call Justin right now. He'll be right here, and we're ready to go. Connor Bedard out until the middle or late February. He's going to miss a bunch of games with that broken jaw. Not the 37 games that kept Connor McDavid from winning the Calder Trophy in his first season, but Bedard's absence will run 6 to 8 weeks after the surgery, so that's going to offset what right now is a 9-point lead that the Chicago rookie has in the freshman scoring race over the likes of Marco Rossi and Adam Fantilli. Both of those two should be included in what is now a wide-open competition. 7 players are within 6 points of Rossi and Fantilli right now. Everybody's going to have a chance to close the gap or catch up or pass Connor Bedard. But I want you to keep an eye on 2 players in particular. Connor Zary, Calgary Flame forward, he is second behind Bedard in points per game by rookies. He was a late arrival, didn't start the year in the National Hockey League, but he's ready. He hasn't played as many games, all right? So that's the situation with Connor Zary. Luke Hughes, defenseman, and let's conclude he's one of 2 defensemen that really do have a shot at this one, but he's getting some power play time in New Jersey. He is second in freshman ice time. They are 2 players that I'm focusing on as the gap is closed on Connor Bedard, but this battle for Rookie of the Year has been reset after Bedard owned the first couple of months of the season. Jamie Drysdale has made his Flyers debut, acquired along with a second-round pick for a prospect named Cutter Gauthier. The Anaheim Ducks and the Philadelphia Flyers consummating this deal. I'm not a fan of players telling a team no after the draft. That's what happened with Cutter Gauthier, who was picked early in the first round by the Philadelphia Flyers. I like it a lot less when no reason is given. It led to some unneeded speculation on social media about the influence in Cutter Gauthier's decision. Now, he came out and he cleared the air, but it put some people, some innocent folks who had nothing to do with this decision in a tough position. I'm just telling you, don't do it to begin with, but if you do, be upfront and let everybody know. It's your prerogative. You have the right to do it. We've seen it happen before. High-profile players. Adam Fox is now a New York Ranger. He always wanted to play for the New York Rangers. They have benefited greatly from it, but he was upfront about where he wanted to play. Go back to Eric Lindros and Eric's a buddy of mine, and he had his reasoning. It had nothing to do with the Quebec Nordiques. He just didn't want to play for the person in charge of the Quebec Nordiques. He didn't want to go down that path, but he was upfront about it, and I can certainly get my head around that a lot more when I'm given some rationale behind it. Now, Cutter's script won't start to be written until the end of this year at the earliest, if he leaves BC earlier. Jamie Drysdale he is already a member of the Philadelphia Flyers. Boy, can his head be spinning anymore after this. But he said all the right things, and he adds to a Philadelphia blue line that in the course of this rebuild has been sped up. It's a defensive core that's much more dynamic than it was at the start of the year. They replaced the Provorov skill set. I love Sanheim, Walker, like go down the list. That's not a blue line of a rebuild. That's the blue line of a team that can be a lot more competitive now, next year. I don't know whether they're going to maintain this great start in Philadelphia, but I'm more confident that they're going to be able to generate some increased production in goal scoring with the likes of Jamie Drysdale, who's just trying to look for some consistency. Missed most of last year with the upper body injury, and then had the contract issue in the summer. He's just looking for some peace, some quiet, and just go play hockey and have some fun. I think he's going to really love Philadelphia, and just a real stick tap to management there. Starting with our buddy Jonesy, Keith Jones and Danny Briere, the whole organization really kept it quiet that Cutter Gauthier didn't want to play for the team. That was to maintain their leverage with the player in moving him around. And that's probably the most impressive part. Before we start judging who won the trade, won't know all of that for a while, but impressed that it was a hockey trade. Good on the Anaheim Ducks and Pat Verbeek and in making this trade. They won't see the fruits of it for a little bit, but it didn't get out from the Ducks side. It didn't get out from the Flyers side. And Cutter, good on you and your representatives, because it didn't get out from your end either. So I will give you your props on that side. Justin Williams just walked in. Want to get his thoughts on this transaction. After all, Justin is now on my side doing some TV work in Canada at my old haunt at Sportsnet. This dude is cut out for this, being on a panel. He's got great personality. He's quick-witted. He's hockey smart. And he's got credibility. He's clutch. And he's won multiple Stanley Cups. But how about this? Mr. Game 7, he's a rookie again. And he's on the Chirp Podcast with Darren Millard. See, this is really cool. I've interviewed you 5 or 6 times over the years in different podcasts or radio interviews, but never as like alumni. Like I'm Sportsnet alumni. Now you're Sportsnet. We're like buddies now.
We're of the same ilk now, aren't we?
Exactly. Do they still have that big poster honoring me at Sportsnet up on the wall, or did they eventually take that down?
I think they had like a burning or something like that, like a kind of a seance type thing where they just took everything down of yours. I'm not sure.
Where did the analyst part or working in the media come from? Because you've always been so gracious and so entertaining and so honest with us. What was the motivation towards getting into our side of the business?
Gosh, I mean, I don't know. I mean, when I finished playing and everyone that I, was friends with who did retire, it's just said, what are you going to do when you're done? And, my first answer was nothing. I'm just going to golf. It's going to be great. But, it's like if you do it every day, then it's not a treat when you go do it, right? So I still love the golf and I do it as much as I can, but I needed to do something else when I grew up. And I'm trying out a lot of things right now. And thankfully, the Hurricanes organization, I'm an advisor there still, do a little bit of pro development stuff. They said, you know what, if you want to try that, give it a go as well. So I'm just dipping my toe in everything and seeing if something sticks.
Did they tell you what you couldn't say when you went on Sportsnet?
Well, I mean, listen, you don't want to give away any trade secrets or anything like that. But I mean, listen, you just go on there. I mean, you got to be of substance when you go on the media and have an opinion on something. So I have an opinion on something, I'll say something. But obviously I'm not going to, disparage the Hurricanes or any player on that team. So I think that's understood.
Did you find yourself nervous the first time that you went on Sportsnet?
You know what? I did. Yeah. It's totally different, right? I mean, you have your notes and everything there you got written down and you say, you know what, I'm ready to do this. And then all of a sudden, David Amber goes, Justin, what did you think? And then the camera comes on and then everyone's looking at you and it's like, whoa, boy, you just get a little bit of I got to talk. And it's at first it was a little bit nerve wracking, that's for sure. But I don't have to lather up with deodorant as much anymore, just to keep myself from sweating. So I think I've become a little bit accustomed to it now.
Do you have a favorite studio analyst that you've watched over the years, whether it's hockey or football or one of the other sports, that you would say, I'd love to be that person?
No, not really, but I do take more appreciation and read into a little bit more how media guys, people on the panel, analysts are really giving to the audience, and how how firm they are with their convictions, and basically just present something, right? You don't want to over talk, as I've learned. You want to make your point and get the heck out of there. So there hasn't been really one person, but I do look around, just like I did as a player, being like, oh, I'd like to try that. Maybe I'll try that. And you kind of make it your own.
So you're watching more intermissions when you watch games now?
I am.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I watch the game and everyone's like, it's intermission. I'm like, well, they're talking, So no, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed coming to that side, and it's new, right? So anything new is exciting, right? So it's been fun. I'm glad I got out of Toronto actually this morning with the weather and everything coming in, but it's been a good experience so far.
Who's reached out to you since you've been on from your playing days and say, hey, I saw you?
I mean, a bunch of people have, just being like, just quick text here and there, being like, hey, saw you on
it's
TV,
usually while
did
you're
well.
on too, right? Like you're during a segment, they'll text you while you're on.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You'll get some buzzes and stuff like that. But I'm not a guy that's like, when people say, hey, you were great, I'm like, just be honest. What do I need to work on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just don't tell me I was great, because I know I wasn't. I was okay, but like, tell me stuff I need to work on. And just like anything else, I want to be good, right? I want to be good at anything I do. So it's challenging, but I feel I'm getting better every time.
You talked to Jared Stoll. What did Stoley say?
I did. I talked to Stoley, and actually Erin Andrews said I was doing good. She's like, hey, you should. I didn't know what to kind of like. What's that movie, Talladega Nights, where I don't know what to do with my hands type thing. Erin told me, she said, you should put a pen in your hand. It actually calms you down, and you can tap on it, and it's, see, there you go, right? She was like, you should give that a go, and I tried that. So some people are helping, that's for sure.
Dude, I don't talk on TV without a pen in my hand, and sometimes it'll go flying just because I lose my grip. But you
look very studious.
Yeah, it's crutchish. I need it with me. Special advisor. What does that mean?
Special advisor is a vague title, which is perfect for the actual job I do. It's a little bit of everything. Don Waddell or Tom Dundon, they have a question or an opinion they want from me. I pick up the phone. I help in anything from player movement to player assessment to I do some development sessions with our first rounder last year, Bradley Nadeau. Just kind of a little bit of everything. I can be a good liaison too, from the players to the management, because obviously I know a lot of the guys play with it, most of them that are still with the Hurricanes right now. So help out in that aspect as well.
You ever want to coach?
I don't. I see the hours that these guys put in. And if I do something, I gotta fully commit, and I certainly don't have the time to do that right now. I enjoy coaching my son's 15-year-old AAA team. I enjoyed coaching my daughter when she played as a 12-year-old. But as far as immersing myself in that, I am not interested at this moment. No.
I bring that up not only because you're transitioning and finding your way, but like those Flyer teams, the Carolina teams, when you look back at those rosters, there's like 6 head coaches, 6 or 7 guys that have gone on to be head coaches. Kevin Adams, general manager. There's tons of guys.
It's great. It actually is wild. I just assume it's the evolution of the hockey player, right? They're getting older. Your friends are slowly phasing out of the league, and now they're in player development. Now they're GMs. Now they're coaches. I don't know if I have more friends that are gone to the other side, or that's just standard for everybody. But I mean, I have a lot of guys on my Flyers team, as you said, that are coaches in this league right now and are doing a heck of a job. So it's been it's certainly interesting.
Is that why Hitchcock got so much pushback? all those future coaches.
Yeah, I know. You find yourself, as I coach my 15-year-old, you find yourself saying some things sometimes. I think I sounded, I believe I sounded once like Rod Brindamore in the room, and then I sounded once like Daryl Sutter in the room. I was like, whoa, what am I saying here? I hated when he told me that, and I'm saying it to the kids, and it's interesting how you just take little bits and pieces of things you learn along the years and download it on other kids' software.
You played with Jonesy, and now Keith Jones, president of hockey operations with Philadelphia, and they've just gone through a very secretive yet large transaction with Cutter Gauthier. First of all, unusual that a player would refuse. We didn't know anything about this, but Cutter, he didn't want anything to do with the Flyers. So what was your reaction to that?
Well, I'd certainly been aware of kind of the circumstances that have been around that, and just I think that really sparks your mind is strange, right? Why would a kid say, I'm not playing for you, right? I mean, you get drafted to a team, and your first inkling is like, what can I do to get with you, right? What do I have to do to get myself in that jersey, in that lineup, right? And it sounds like there was some type of miscommunication throughout the times, but I mean, everybody's going to move on from this at one point. I think probably both sides are going to learn a little thing, but it certainly throws up a little bit of a flashing yellow light, being like, okay, what's this all about right now? Because he's an unbelievable player. I think we know that, but for whatever reason, didn't seem to work over there, and I never wish any ill will on everybody. Absolutely not. I hope both parties are happy with this trade, and everybody can move on at one point. But it sure makes for some interesting banter. That's for sure.
Boy, I love Tort's reaction too. Nothing against Cutter, but just saying, I don't know him from a hole in the ground.
Yeah, I mean, he's exactly right. I mean, coaches, right? I mean, I think every coach would say the same thing. Just like, I don't know him. He's not on my team. My job is to coach this team. He's not here, so who cares, right? So it was interesting. It was good for some banter, definitely on the social media yesterday.
You are covering Canadian teams a lot with Sportsnet. Who's the best team in Canada right now? Because Winnipeg's on the top of the mountain, and we know that the large signing with William Nylander in Toronto making headlines, and then you've got Vancouver and Edmonton.
I mean, Vancouver is really fresh in my mind, obviously, doing the game last night against the Rangers, and they looked stellar. Like,
so good.
There was just a ton of skill up and down that lineup, and I don't get to see the West Coast very much. But Quinn Hughes, really, for me, I watched him a couple years ago. I was like, he's going to be good, but he makes a ton of plays to keep the puck, possession plays in the D zone. I mean, he's one heck of a player, and they've got a really, really good team. So I guess to answer your question, while I beat around the bush here a little bit, I would venture to say Vancouver on the West Coast. Things to be doing very well with them, but I think it's exciting for Canadians to have that possibility, right, to bring a Stanley Cup back to Canada if the Hurricanes don't win it.
Well said. I like that little drop in at the end. Hey, Tocchet coaches Vancouver. That's one of those guys in Philadelphia that you played with. Another one of those guys that went on to coach. Yeah,
I mean, a guy that's just learned a ton along the way, right? I mean, he was in Tampa Bay there. Didn't go well there. I mean, he's just such a much like Brind'Amour, just a matter of fact guy. A guy is just gonna, here's how it is. Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. This is where I see you. This is your role on the team. Execute it. If you don't execute it, I'll find someone who can. It's just a no nonsense approach of really enabling players to be themselves, but at the same time, not letting them just do whatever they want out there. because that can get a little, as you see with some teams in the NHL, that can get a little aloof.
Yeah, and once you're down that path, you're done. Like the coach isn't going to be able to bring you back because the accountability factor wasn't there at the start, and it's not going to be
Yeah.
at the end. It's like parenting, right? We all know that. You give them a little bit of an inch, and they're gone. Toronto, they get the signing done. Is that avoiding that distraction? Is that enough to give them the oomph to go deeper?
I don't think so. I mean, can they go deeper? Yes, but I really can't see that as being a distraction at all. Being a guy who's been in the NHL dressing room for 20 years, guys don't care. Like, guys hope they get paid, right? Everyone on your team wants everyone else to get paid. I hope the best for everybody, but that really is not going to change anything in that dressing room. Nothing would be my estimation in that. They got a really good team. They've had a good team for a while. They're looking to really get over the hump and win a championship, and that just solidifies him. So that helps him out, but I don't think it does anything to the team around it.
You're part of a group that got in late in LA and won it all. You've been part of really good teams. How much importance does the regular season play in how far you finish up in the standings, or does it?
I honestly don't think it does. I think if you look at the NHL, I mean, there's not one or two teams that you say, wow, I'm scared. I don't want to play them. I don't want this. I mean, there's really good teams. There's a handful, like 6, 7 teams that I think have separated themselves. And then you have the rest who are very capable as well. So you want to have the talent to get into the playoffs, but you want to have the grit to win in the playoffs. So finding that balance is what builders of teams try to do, right? And find that mix of do I have a dog or do I have a bunch of pussycats that are just really good in the regular season, but can they do it in the playoffs? And that's what everyone wants to try and find, that nice balance of, I got to be good enough to get in, but when I get in, okay, I got to bark.
Do you think there's guys in the league right now that are looking at other teams going, that team's a bunch of pussycats, we're not afraid of them? Are there pussycat teams out there?
I think there's definitely some out there for sure. I mean, not like just mentally just haven't quite gotten over the edge of believing in themselves. I think it's a self-belief thing. Not that guys are pussycats, but just a self-belief thing. And I think that a lot of teams need to almost get over that, right? Hopefully they can.
Your producer, David Azuma, is going to love listening to this. You and I talking about dogs and pussycats and barking. He's going to go, how did Millard ever get down that path? When you are analyzing top teams and you're focused on a game, what are you looking at to bring your analysis to it from the broadcast side now?
Well, I'm just looking at what makes teams tick and what makes teams great and what is their identity, right? And then you try and pick little clips of like, this encapsulates this team, what this guy does, and where do their leaders bring them? That's kind of what I'm looking for to give to the audience. Just give them a different perspective, or maybe a player's perspective of how things work. And if you can educate while you do it, all the better.
Do you make a lot of phone calls, or do you lean on your experience?
I lean on my experience a lot, but if I don't feel like I have a good, valid argument, or I'm kind of fishing myself, am I seeing what I actually believe, then I might make a few phone calls and see. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, guys don't want to hear from me when I'm out of the league being like, hey, what about this guy? How does he conduct himself? Nobody cares. They're gonna stop answering my phone calls if I do that all the time.
Have you ever phoned somebody and said, how do they conduct themselves?
Yeah. What does he eat for breakfast? Does he have too many beers? Like, what's going on?
How about the team that you are the special advisor for? Looks like it's trending in the right direction.
Yeah, recently it's been really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought we were a little unlucky early on, and we all know throughout 82 games, it's a long season. Eventually, your puck luck, if you work hard enough, it's going to come back to you. I think we've really got some steady goaltending over the past month. You know, at one point we were, you know, bottom 2 of the league in save percentage. I mean, that's an issue, but we've been able to get over that right now and get some good goaltending and you know, our pucks are going in the net. The power play is running at an unbelievable rate right now. It's third in the league. So things are going well right now, and guys are buying in, and you know, hopefully they can keep it rolling here to get ourselves more solidified in the playoff positions.
Hey, is my memory right? Did you have an Achilles injury?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Patches went through that last year with Carolina, and now he's
Yeah.
Washington.
Yeah.
He's gone through it twice. How big of a challenge is that for him?
Yeah. When Patches was here and he was rehabbing, I was helping out with his rehab skates and trying to give him, you know, what I could through my experience, right? This is kind of what I did. This is what I went through, and you know, I'm all good now. So we developed a relationship for that. But it's a struggle, especially, you know, having him do it the second time. I mean, you just, you know, when I saw it happen, like literally my heart broke for him, you know, I was just so let down. And I think there's some times where I don't like cameras in the dressing room after games, but there was a video that Washington posted on their Twitter page or X or whatever it was, and it really encapsulated, you know, the emotions that he has gone through the past little while. And you know, although he's on Washington, I'm cheering like heck for him to get himself back. Obviously, he's not going to be what he once was, but just to get back to being an impactful player again, you know, I'm rooting as hard as I can for him.
Yeah, I got to know him a little bit here and through rehab skates as well, and he would pick corners. And boy, oh boy, he's a cool guy, fun guy to be around. But
his shot is different, huh? Like it's different than everybody else's.
It just gets there faster and it's harder. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, well, that's it. It gets there faster and it's harder. So
that's my analysis. So if you're agreeing with me, and you're
that's what it does.
And it usually hits the back of the net.
Yeah, sometimes
as well. Skills competition, $1 million to the winner. Who do you like among what we've seen as guys that are logical choices to participate?
So who would I choose to win it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, other than Aho, which is a no-brainer, I would say Matt Barzal has a good chance.
I like that.
I think Matt Barzal has a good chance. You know, good little player, shifty, good at a lot of things. But I mean, everybody's good there.
Could Connor go if he's healthy enough to? Could he win it? Would that be fun for us? Or would guys go, oh my, he's first overall? Or like, no, I'm sorry, I should clarify. Bedard, not McDavid.
Oh, Bedard, not McDavid. Okay. I mean, yeah, he could win it, of course. Yeah. Why not? I mean, he's great for the league. He seems like a great kid. I don't know him at all, but he seems like a great kid with a lot on his shoulders right now, and obviously on the IR. But yeah, he could win it. Sure. I think anybody could there. Really, anybody could.
I know. I was talking to Jack Geichel the other
Even
day,
you, Tom Wilson, if you're listening, you, Tom Wilson, you could win it. Let's go.
I like Tom. Tom's misunderstood. We had him on earlier this year. I love my chats with Tommy.
I love him. He's one of my favorite guys, except playing against him. I hated playing against him, but he's one of my favorite guys. So I have a lot of time for Tom.
Why didn't you like playing against him? Was he just chirpy, or was he like dirty in the sense of sticking you all the time? Like, we know he can hit. We all know that part.
No, he was a big hitter. He was never dirty. I never got a dirty hit from
I like
him at
dirty
all.
guys. I mean that as a compliment, like sticking you in.
Yeah, no, he's not a stick guy. He's not really a stick guy at all. He's a, you know, kind of a always in your face type guy, who, you know, can send you over the boards at any moment. So it's, you know, not a great feeling when he's on the ice a lot of the times.
Before I let you go, what did you get your handicap down to when you were golfing all the time?
I'm hovering just around a 0 right now. So winter handicap is it's totally BS, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you don't play for a while, but you have a winter handicap of 0 and you can never play to it. But when I'm feeling pretty good about myself, I'm just hovering right around there.
You can't play for money in the winter, or you're going to lose it. Cakeload.
I know, you go to a tournament or something like that. People
Yeah.
have been playing in Florida all the time. You just get rinsed.
What's your favorite nickname that people have attached to you? What would you choose? Because the Mr. Game 7 gets thrown around a lot.
That's not bad for a panel, Mr. Game 7, but it was actually funny when I was I don't mind when I was in LA there was a Willie Mitchell there, and he was older than me, so he got Willie, and Rob Scuderi came up with Will Stick, so everyone called me Stick there. And then I went to Washington, and that nickname stuck as well because Tom Wilson was Willie, so he's Willie, and then I was still Stick. So for 2 teams, my nickname was Stick, and I don't really know why. Probably because I was skinny. But I don't mind that nickname. It's all right.
That is very unusual for hockey because we have the most basic, like, it's Willie, right?
Yeah.
What do we do now? Because that's awesome. I did not know that.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a big issue in a dressing room, right? You can't have 2 Willies. It's like that Seinfeld when they have like 2 Cocos. Has anyone ever watched Seinfeld before?
Congratulations on the panel stuff. Say hi to everybody up there for me. Wish them all the best, including Zoom, and
right.
And keep it going, buddy. This has been awesome to be back with you.
All right, pleasure. Thanks. Anytime.
Justin Williams, one of 2 people that was on the first iteration, the original iteration of the Chirp podcast, and this version partnered with the National Hockey League. Who's the other? You're thinking, who would be the other? Who would be the other? How about Rick Tocchet, his former teammate with the Philadelphia Flyers, and one of those former teammates that has gone on to coach in the National Hockey League. It's unbelievable. When you go through the list of teams that Justin played for and all the guys that have gone on to coaching careers in the NHL, some assistants, a lot of head coaches, and one general manager, one president of hockey operations, Kevin Adams and Keith Jones. So I'm with Justin. I don't know whether it's just hockey circle playing itself out and there's always guys that will go on to coaching careers, or whether the situation in Carolina and Philadelphia just had a lot of potential head coaches. You know, there's the Hartford Whalers teams in the 80s. That organization produced a bunch of coaches in the National Hockey League. There's just certain teams that end up having a real group that go on to be great head coaches in the National Hockey League. Appreciate it, Justin. Awesome stuff. And there won't be a third iteration of this podcast. I guarantee you this, because we're around for a while here with our friends over at the National Hockey League and producer Bob Bender. We got to fly. It's game day for me. I got to go over to the rink and watch some games live. And Las Vegas Strip is happening and having some fun there. And we'll talk to you next week with a brand new episode of the Chirp Podcast with Darren Millard. Thanks for listening, everybody.